Shadows of Eclipsia, the perpetual night of Eclipsia, stretched across the horizon as Dr. Aya Chen adjusted her atmospheric suit for the 5th time that day. "These readings can't be right," she muttered to herself while recalibrating her scanner. The purple glow of distant crystals cast long shadows across the abandoned courtyard of what once was a thriving alien metropolis. 3 months into her xenobiology research expedition, and Aya still couldn't believe her luck. The Qurani were thought to be merely legend until a mining vessel discovered their moon colony last year. Almost extinct now, but once a powerful race of energy consumers that early human settlers had mistaken for vampires in their records. "You won't find what you're looking for with that device," came a voice from the shadows, startling Aya so badly she nearly dropped her equipment. She spun around, heart racing, as a tall figure emerged from between 2 crumbling columns. His skin held a faint lavender luminescence that seemed to pulse with each breath. His eyes were entirely silver without pupil or iris, yet somehow conveyed both intelligence and amusement. "Cooper," she breathed. Recognizing the Qurani prince, who had granted her research team access to their sacred archives, "You shouldn't sneak up on people like that." "Forgive me," he replied, his voice carrying that strange harmonic quality all Qurani possessed, "but I've been watching you work for some time. Your dedication is admirable if somewhat misguided." Aya frowned. "What do you mean misguided?" "I'm documenting your people's biological makeup as agreed." Cooper glided closer, moving with that uncanny fluid grace that made him seem more apparition than flesh. "You seek to understand why. We're dying, but you're looking at symptoms, not causes." His silver gaze studied her face. "Our essence is fading, not just our bodies." "I don't understand. Walk with me," he said, turning toward the grand archway that led to the palace interior. Against her better judgment, Aya followed, feeling the strange magnetic pull that Cooper seemed to exert on her. The interior halls were lit by bioluminescent orbs that floated untethered, casting the ornate carvings in soft, amethyst light. "My people once numbered in millions," Cooper explained, leading her deeper into the palace than she'd ever been allowed. "Now we are 43. The last generation born was over a century ago." "Your reproductive systems are failing," Aya suggested. "My research shows cellular deterioration in—" "It's more fundamental than that," Cooper interrupted, stopping before an enormous mural depicting Qurani and what appeared to be humans intertwined in some ancient ceremony. "We cannot continue as we are. Our energy signature is too weak to create new life." He turned to her, then something vulnerable flickering across his otherworldly features. "That's why you're really here, Aya Chen. Your DNA contains patterns we lost millennia ago, patterns we need." Aya's scientific mind raced with implications. "Are you saying your people interbred with humans before?" "Not just interbred," Cooper replied, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "We created something new together, something stronger than either race alone." He stepped closer, his cool aura brushing against her skin. "And now we must do so again." His silver eyes held hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Would you help create a future neither of us could imagine alone?" Violet twilight. "You're asking me to abandon my research and what exactly?" Aya said, backing away slightly from Cooper's imposing figure. The revelation had caught her completely off guard. "I came here as a scientist, not as a genetic donor." Cooper's expression softened, the luminescent patterns beneath his skin pulsing more slowly. "I'm asking you to expand your understanding of what your research could achieve." He gestured for her to follow him deeper into the palace. "Please allow me to show you something." They walked in silence through winding corridors that seemed to spiral downward. Aya noted how the temperature dropped with each step, yet she didn't feel cold. Instead, there was a curious warmth emanating from the walls themselves, as if the entire structure were somehow alive. "This is the heart chamber," Cooper announced as they entered a vast circular room. Its ceiling opened to the stars above, while the floor contained a pool of swirling iridescent liquid that cast purple reflections across the entire space. The essence of all Qurani flows through here. Our memories, our knowledge, our very being. Aya approached the edge of the pool, mesmerized. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Touch it." Cooper encouraged, standing close behind her. Hesitantly, she reached out, letting her fingertips break the surface. The liquid felt neither wet nor dry, but sparked with tiny electric pulses that traveled up her arm. Suddenly, images flooded her mind. Centuries of Qurani history. Joys, sorrows, births, and deaths all experienced in seconds before she pulled away. Gasping, "That's how we preserve ourselves," Cooper explained. "But the energy fades with each passing cycle. We need new patterns, new code." His voice grew softer. "New life. So I'm just genetic material to you," Aya said, trying to process what she'd experienced. Cooper shook his head. "No, you misunderstand. I've watched you, Aya. Your curiosity, your compassion, your determination. These qualities are as important as your DNA." He hesitated, then added, "I would not ask this of someone I did not respect." Over the next weeks, Aya found herself spending more time with Cooper than on her official research. He showed her the ancient libraries where knowledge was stored not in books but in crystalline structures that responded to touch. He took her to the observatory dome where the stars seemed close enough to grasp. One evening, as they sat beneath the eternal night sky, Cooper shared stories of his childhood. As the last royal born, he had carried the weight of his people's hopes since birth. "I've never known another life," he admitted. "To be the end of something that has existed for millennia is a loneliness beyond words." "You've never thought of leaving?" Aya asked, watching how the starlight reflected in his silver eyes. "And go where? This is home, even as it crumbles around us." He turned to her, his expression unguarded for once. "Until you arrived, I had accepted our fate. Now I find myself hoping again." Aya felt something shift between them in that moment. The scientific detachment she'd clung to was becoming harder to maintain. She found herself noticing things about Cooper she shouldn't. The graceful way he moved, the melodic cadence of his voice, the subtle changes in his skin's luminescence that seemed to brighten whenever she entered a room. "Show me more of your world," she said impulsively, reaching for his hand. Cooper looked surprised but entwined his fingers with hers. His touch sent a pleasant current through her skin. "There is much more to see," he said with the first genuine smile she'd witnessed. "Including the Twilight Gardens tomorrow, perhaps?" "Tomorrow," Aya agreed, realizing with a start that she was no longer counting the days until her research team's scheduled departure. She was counting the hours until morning when she would see Cooper again. The implications terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. Celestial Union. The Twilight Garden sprawled across what must have been acres of the palace's eastern wing. Unlike anything on Earth, the vegetation pulsed with bioluminescent life. Plants that resembled flowers opened and closed in rhythm with music only they could hear, while tree-like structures bent gracefully toward anyone who approached them. "This is incredible," Aya breathed, as a spiral-shaped plant unfurled at her approach, releasing tiny motes of purple light that danced around her. "How is this possible when there's no sun?" "They feed on different energy," Cooper explained, guiding her along a crystalline path. "The cosmic radiation that would kill most Earth species nourishes ours. These gardens are thousands of years old. Some say they're sentient in their way." As if responding to his words, a curtain of luminous vines parted before them, revealing a secluded alcove with a bench overlooking what appeared to be a lake of liquid starlight. "This was my mother's favorite place," Cooper said softly. "The last queen of our people. She would come here when the burden of watching our decline became too heavy." Aya sat beside him, feeling the weight of his words. "You never speak of her." "She faded 50 years ago, refusing to take energy from the remaining reserve so others might live longer." His voice grew distant, a noble sacrifice, though it changed nothing in the end. Without thinking, Aya reached for his hand. "I'm sorry." Cooper looked down at their joined hands, then up at her face with an intensity that made her breath catch. "You've changed things, Aya. Your presence here, the possibilities you represent." "You mean my DNA," she said, trying to maintain scientific distance. "Not just that." Cooper leaned closer, his silver eyes searching hers. You've shown me there can be connection between our kinds beyond mere biological compatibility. You've awakened something I thought died with my mother, Hope. The air between them seemed charged with something Aya couldn't name. Her professional objectivity was crumbling with each passing moment with Cooper. Something about him pulled at her in ways that defied rational explanation. Tomorrow is the alignment, Cooper said suddenly, a rare astronomical event, when all 7 moons of this system align. The only time when new Karani life could potentially form. Come with me to the celestial chamber. Aya understood what he was asking. The implications sent her heart racing. Cooper, this goes far beyond my research parameters. I need time to think. Of course, he said, though disappointment flickered across his features. But no, this isn't merely about preservation of a species. It's about creating something new. Something that has never existed before. A bridge between our worlds. Later that night in her quarters, Aya couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with scientific possibilities and ethical questions. But beneath them all was something more personal. Her feelings for Cooper had grown beyond professional, fascination, or even friendship. There was an undeniable attraction that seemed to transcend their different biologies. Dr. Sarakai. Her research partner noticed her distraction during morning briefings. You're falling for him, aren't you? She asked, bluntly when they were alone. That's absurd, Aya protested too quickly. He's a research subject. Sarah gave her a knowing look. He's much more than that, and we both know it. I've seen how you look at each other. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Aya had no answer. That evening she found Cooper in the observatory, the ceiling open to the aligning moons above. He turned as she entered, his skin glowing more brightly than she'd ever seen before. You came, he said, a note of surprise. In his voice, I have questions. Aya began trying to maintain professional composure. About the biological process, the implications, Cooper crossed the room to her in fluid stride, stopping just inches away. Ask me anything, but first know this. His voice dropped lower. What I feel for you goes beyond our species' survival. What I'm asking isn't merely for duty. It's because I cannot imagine forming this bond with anyone but you. The admission hung between them, charged with possibility. Aya felt her carefully constructed scientific barriers crumbling as Cooper slowly raised a hand to her face. The touch sent pleasant waves of energy across her skin. Tomorrow at the alignment, she whispered, making her decision. I'll come. Cooper's entire being seemed to illuminate with joy as the moons continued their celestial dance above them. Stardust embrace. The celestial chamber gleamed with ancient power as Aya entered. 7 pillars, representing each moon, rose to a crystalline dome where the aligned celestial bodies would focus their energy. Cooper waited at the chamber's center, his form radiating a deep violet glow. You're certain? He asked when she approached, his voice carrying both hope and concern. Aya nodded. I came to study life but found something more, she admitted. Something between us that science can't explain. The chamber began to hum as moonlight filtered through the dome, casting prismatic patterns across the floor. Cooper extended his hands and Aya took them, feeling the familiar electric current that always accompanied his touch. The union is more than physical, he explained. It's an energy exchange, a melding of essence. His silver eyes held hers. Your consciousness will touch mine. There can be no secrets between us. I'm not afraid, Aya whispered, though her heart raced as the moons aligned. Perfectly overhead, the chamber filled with brilliant light. Cooper drew her close, one hand cradling her face. 2 worlds joining to create something new, he murmured. Their lips met in a kiss that felt like touching lightning. Aya gasped as energy coursed through her body, Cooper's consciousness brushing against hers. Images flowed between them. His centuries of loneliness, her childhood dreams, his hopes for their future, her fears of losing herself. The boundary between them blurred as the moonlight intensified Cooper's skin against hers, sent waves of pleasure unlike anything she'd known. His touch both gentle and urgent as they sank to the chamber floor. Their bodies moved together, surrounded by swirling light, their union transcending, the physical as their energies intertwined. "I see you," Cooper whispered, his voice resonating through her very being. "All that you are, all that we could be." "And I see you," Aya replied, feeling complete in ways she never imagined possible. The chamber pulsed with power as they came together, their shared energy creating something neither could have formed alone. A new pattern, a new possibility, a new life. Legacy, beyond stars. 3 months later, Aya stood in the heart chamber watching the pools, swirling patterns which now contained flecks of gold among the purple. For the first time in centuries, the liquid glowed with renewed vigor. "The elders say it hasn't shone this brightly since the first age," Cooper said, joining her. His hand rested gently on her abdomen where their child grew. "How are you feeling?" "Different," Aya smiled. "But wonderful. The baby's energy signature is getting stronger. Dr. Alex confirms everything is progressing perfectly." Cooper's expression softened with wonder, a true bridge between worlds. Neither fully Qurani nor human, but something entirely new. The news had spread throughout the remaining Qurani population, bringing renewed hope. Others were now approaching the human research team with similar proposals. What had begun as one union was becoming the foundation for revival. "Commander Isabel arrives tomorrow with the diplomatic corps," Aya said. "They're calling this the most significant xenobiological development in human history. And to think it began with a curious scientist who wouldn't take no for an answer," Cooper teased. Pulling her close, Aya laughed, leaning into his embrace. "I came looking for scientific discoveries, not expecting to find love. Perhaps the greatest discoveries are those we never anticipated," Cooper replied, his silver eyes shining with emotion. That night they stood together on the palace balcony, watching as the first new Qurani human settlement broke ground in the valley below. Construction lights illuminated, workers from both species collaborating on buildings that would house the new generation. "When I first arrived, you asked if I would help create a future neither of us could imagine alone," Aya reminded him. "I never dreamed it would look like this." Cooper's arms encircled her from behind his hand, protectively covering where their child grew. "Our daughter will know both worlds. Her legacy will extend beyond the stars themselves." "A legacy of connection," Aya agreed, "not just survival." As they stood together beneath the eternal night sky, the palace around them pulsed with renewed energy, the ancient structures responding to the promise of continuation. The dying world was dying no longer. "Join me in immortality through our children," Cooper had once said. Now, as new life grew within her, Aya understood the true meaning of those words. Not the cold immortality of endless existence, but the warm eternity of legacy, love given form, hope made flesh. 2 worlds forever joined through bonds stronger than death. Above them, the stars continued their ancient dance, witnesses to a new beginning forged between 2 beings who had found in each other something worth preserving. A future neither could have imagined alone, but together had made real.